There are no tolls in the Eastern time zone. They're East coasting.
Have they been on the Parkway?
Well, I don't know.
There's been plenty of tolls on that Parkway.
Travis Kelce better look for a bathroom stop. Knicks, Cavaliers, James Harden, layup. Travis and Taz Taylor.
Oh,
they
my.
love what they see. Cavs down 2. A few possessions later, Harden. Open lane. Another finish. Game's tied at 48. Oh, here we go. Cleveland playing some ball. 4 minutes to go in the first half. Jalen Brunson. Oh, you can't stop him. They can't even contain him. Knicks up 2. A few minutes later, Brunson again. Watch him create space. Oh, knock down the jumper. Just completely crosses up Max Strus. Knicks up 6 at halftime. Third quarter, Donovan Mitchell turns it over. Knicks pushing. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. Knicks up 7. A little later, Anunoby, this time keeping it. Attacking the paint. Oh, throwing it down. 21.7 boards. Next Knicks possession, Brunson going downhill. I told you they can't stop him. Knicks up 12 at this point. On the other end, Brunson again gets to a sweet spot. They're going up 9 into the fourth. Early fourth quarter, Josh Hart. Rebound outlet, Bridges with the finish. He had 22.6 boards. Knicks lead is now 14. Landry Shamet creating space. That's 3. He had 14. Halfway through the fourth, Brunson driving to the basket, makes the layup. The lead is 16 for the kids from New York and the legends. Patrick Ewing, John Starks, Allen Houston, Walt Frazier, all evident. Under 2 minutes to go. And the Cavaliers have just given up.
Oh, my God.
The entire Cavs defense, I ain't even going to call it defense. The entire Cavs roster that was on the court at the time did nothing. Knicks win. They take a 3-0 series lead. Brunson had 30. Oh, it looks good for the kids in New York.
We're still confident. Like, the confidence is, never going away. Like, we're more than capable. We just need some things to a shift change and make some shots to the series turns around.
We have a bunch of individuals in that locker room who work really hard, and they're very psychotic about their work and the things they do, and making sure that their minds that they're ready physically and mentally. So when their number's called and then when there's time to go out there, they're ready.
They have been ready. The Knicks are the 10th team in NBA history to win 10 straight playoff games in a single run and the first to do it since the 2024 Celtics. 5 of the previous 9 teams who won 10 straight games in a single postseason, Brian, win.
Here with SNY NBA insider Ian Begley. And Ian, the Knicks become the 7th team in NBA history to go on a 10-game win streak on a postseason run. I mean, unbelievable that they're here now. What does this say about the level of play, the quality of play, the domination that they're playing with in this series?
Yeah, you go back to that last game they lost. It was Game 3 in Atlanta, and things really flipped there. And the interesting thing to me is they're kind of playing in the way that the front office probably envisioned when they started to make moves after signing Jalen Brunson, because then you make the Josh Hart trade, the OG Anunoby trade, the Karl Towns trade, the trade for Mikal Bridges. All those guys just had their fingerprints all over this 10-game win streak, including, Game 3, Bridges continuing to play at a really high level. Anunoby looking very strong coming off of that hamstring injury. Towns distributing the ball well again, and Hart being the connector that he is. This is just the way I guess Leon Rose thought this thing would come together all that time ago.
They're getting a little bit of everything from everyone. Let's talk more about Mikal. 22 points in Game 3, 6 rebounds. I mean, what have you been seeing from him? He just looks like he's playing his best basketball right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to, again, Game 3 against Atlanta where he struggled, 0 for 4 turnovers, and we talked to him afterward. He said, look, I just have to take the criticism and come back, and he's come back in a big way, obviously. Josh Hart made an interesting point about Bridges and maybe players in general, where you go into the playoffs, it's just about winning. Nothing else matters. You're not worried about shots. You're not worried about touches. Your mentality shifts to just to focus on winning. We were asking him about Mikal, and so Mikal, obviously, he's shown himself to be a playoff riser here yet again, second straight postseason for the Knicks.
Yeah, really great point by Josh Hart. But now the Knicks are focusing on winning this series, and they're just one win away. What do they have to do to close this one out on Monday and advance to their first final since 1999.
Yeah, it seems like just the same formula that you've seen in 3 games. Obviously, 3 games haven't been identical, but they've been balanced on both ends of the floor and played really well defensively. That Cleveland bench, I thought they were going to come out of that shooting slump that they've been in, but they did not, at least not in a big way. So I guess you still want to maintain neutralizing the bench and just put the ball in Jalen Brunson's hands at the end of the day, because that seems to be working pretty well.
For sure. And the Cavaliers, I mean, they look gassed, really.
Yeah.
They look like they do need some rest, but if the Knicks do end up sweeping them, they'll get some rest, because you can only imagine that OKC Spurs series will go longer than 4 or 5 games. So we'll see if the Knicks can close this one out on Monday.
Stilo, the Knicks never trailed in Game 3. Their largest lead was 17. How surprised are you with how dominant they were?
Really not all that surprised, Michelle, even playing in the not-so-friendly confines of the arena there in Cleveland, just because I hate to say, this is what we've come to expect from this Knicks team, watching the way that they have really elevated their game here in the postseason. And I can't say I'm surprised, because when I was here with JJ previewing this series last weekend, I said I thought it was going to go 5 at most and potentially looking at a sweep. We took some heat for that from the people in Cleveland. Well, I think we're seeing the way it's playing out here so far. So look, I think it comes down to the Cavs just don't have enough answers for the Knicks and their depth, which has just been showed off game in, game out. Obviously, Game 1 took them a while to get going. Brunson took over late, but I think Games 2 and 3 is a lot more of what we would have expected, because the Knicks are getting contributions up and down the lineup. It's not just 1 or 2 guys. They've been incredibly efficient offensively, and you're seeing that tenacious defense show up at times. Yeah, the Cavs had some runs to get themselves back into the game, tied it a couple times, but the Knicks never falling behind. And every time the Cavs did make that run where you thought maybe they're ready to seize control behind their home crowd, the Knicks had an answer, another stop, a big 3 to let them know, no, you're not going to get on the board in this series. We're going to win this game.
Yeah, CeeLo, you nailed it. The Cavs don't have enough to hang with the Knicks. That's all there is to it at this point. And look, I think that the series was over after Game 1, because that was such a gut shot to Cleveland, the way the Knicks came back and took control there. And now they're just out-talenting them. And look, I mean, never trailed is pretty interesting little factoid there on a first home court in this series for the Cavaliers, and they can't even get the lead one time in the game. And you made another good point with the contributions up and down the lineup from the Knicks, because they can try to stop Brunson, but if they can't stop Brunson, then he gets 30 like he did in Game 3. And then if you try to stop Brunson, then Josh Hart has the Josh Hart game. And, they've got other options to do a lot of different things to beat you. So this is another example of Knicks playing supreme team basketball once again. And, they shot the lights out. They hit their foul shots. They're in a class by themselves now in this conference.
Well, you make some good points. All 5 starters in double figures, but huge contributions from OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. Anthony, how important are the contributions outside of Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony?
Yeah, they're enormous. I mean, you mentioned the 2 stars, so those are the guys that you look to when the game begins. Are these guys going to dominate? And when they don't for the Knicks, that's okay. It doesn't matter. I mean, Cat had a very nice game tonight, close to a triple-double, but it's not like he, exploded. Brunson gave them 30. But guys like Josh Hart, he is, heart and soul type. You know what I mean? Yeah. The relentless rebounding, the incredible hustle, the swag, all of that stuff counts in these big games, in these big situations. And so, plus the post-game quotes are hilarious when he's dealing in that regard too. So they get so many guys like that. Hart to me is the one who stands out on an almost nightly basis, flying on the floor to get loose balls, all that kind of stuff.
And the lack of ego, which he referenced after game number 2, and that's been on full display. I mean, look, we know it's a team full of talent, but this time of year, it's got to be selfless basketball. And I think the Hart situation in Game 2, responding to the benching in Game 1. And in the bigger picture for me, it's what Mikal Bridges continues to do since those first 2 games of the first round series against Atlanta, where we were legitimately talking about him having to be taken out of the starting lineup because he was struggling so much, and he was a liability, to the point now where he's so incredibly efficient shooting the basketball on the offensive end of the floor. And it's the opposite of what we see in today's NBA. It's the 2-point game. It's the mid-range jumper. It's the floater. I mean, he's just been unbelievable offensively, making smart plays, winning plays. You know what you're going to get from him on the defensive end of the floor with his energy, his tenaciousness, his ability to come away with steals. To me, he has just really responded to the criticism and a bad run at the start of the playoffs. Confidence could have been shaken easily. Put all that aside, short memory, the way he's played since, tail end of the Atlanta series, the entire Sixers series, and now what we've seen in these first 3 games here against the Cavaliers. Can't say enough about the way he's responded. Maybe it'll never be worth the 5 first-round picks they gave up, but if they win a championship...
I mean, they're 1 game away from the finals. Yeah, he's already worth it.
If they win a championship and he contributes the way he has been these last 2.5 series, and we'll see what happens against whoever they're going to face in the West when they get there, I can't say enough about the job he's done.
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20, and they're all just clicking on all cylinders. Quickly here, Steve, Game 4 is Monday in Cleveland. Does this series come back to New York?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess if the Knicks feel like, hey, I'm going to take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit here, we'll come back home, we'll enjoy it in front of the Garden crowd. But they got enough Knicks fans in these road games as well. You heard it was on display again in Cleveland here in game number 3. I agree with Anthony. It felt like the series ended.
Let's bring in someone who donned the jersey of both teams during his career, and that's Iman Shumpert. Iman, plenty to unpack from this game, but with the Cavs now on the cusp of elimination, what is the biggest takeaway from your perspective of what you saw in their performance tonight?
I thought that they lacked a sense of urgency. I think that this is a back-to-the-wall style game. You let go of game 1. You're coming into game 3. You're trying to get your fans excited, and you're supposed to play like desperate men. Play like you haven't drank water and I don't know how long. It needed to be a desperation, and I didn't see the urgency. The biggest takeaway that I took from being able to locate times that there was no urgency was where is the transition defense for this Cavaliers team? When a person breaks past the three-point line and gets into that key situation or gets into that paint situation, there has to be 2 guards back. There has to be a last line of defense. I thought that they did a very poor job of saying, let's pay attention to the details and pay attention to the small mistakes, the little mistakes that led to easy buckets for the Knicks. Let's take those away in game 3. I didn't see that adjustment. I didn't see the attention to detail. It was honestly a disappointing performance from the Cavs.
And, you know, Shump, we can talk about Landry Shamet, and we will. He was great off the bench. But the Knicks starting lineup was dominant. Every player in double figures here. What is it about that group that has given Cleveland so many problems?
Well, what they're doing is they're changing sides of the floor. I think early on when we watched the Knicks, especially when they had problems with scoring the basketball, they had cold spells that happened. What they did was they put Karl Anthony Towns in a high post area. We put him on the sideline into a 21 action, and then there's cutting, there's movement, but the ball changes sides of the floor, and we have Jalen Brunson to have a great floor game and say, hey, anytime we aren't going to those actions, now that we have, and I've sprayed the ball out a little bit, I can get my wiggle room. I can get downhill. I can make sure that we get FGAs and FGMs rather than get us TOs. And I think that he's done a great job of just being patient, letting things come to him, and showing the Cavaliers that no matter what they throw at him, he's going to pick it apart.
All right, Iman Shumpert following the Knicks Game 3 victory. Shump, thanks for the perspective on a night the Knicks take a commanding 3-0 series lead here in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Now joined by Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A., after Game 2 on Thursday, you used the words alarming and flabbergasted right here on SportsCenter to describe the Cavs' defense. What words would you use for their performance tonight?
Pathetic. Very, very pathetic. Gave up 37 points in the first quarter. Didn't come out with any degree of urgency whatsoever. I wouldn't be surprised if we did an investigation and we discovered that half the team had already made vacation reservations. I mean, it just looked that way. They were devoid of any kind of urgency whatsoever. And the New York Knicks are just playing together. I understand that they're flowing. I understand that they can serve to demoralize you. There's no way around that. But the flip side to it is you're on your home turf, and there's an incredible level of urgency that comes attached to it. And the New York Knicks just gave it to them. Brunson had his 30. Of course, Anunoby had his 21. Can't say enough about Mikal Bridges and the way that he's been playing as of late. in these playoffs. He is just in his bag. He is flowing. And Landry Shamet coming off the bench and dropping 11 points in the fourth quarter. All of those things can contribute to a victory. But what possible explanation could you have if you watch some of the plays that took place as the game waned, when you saw the absence of urgency in terms of their defensive effort? It was absolutely non-existent whatsoever. They gave up. They caved. And as a result, just bring out the broomsticks. I think you saw Charles Barkley on Inside the NBA and stuff like that in the immediate aftermath while the rest of the crew was on the set. He was sweeping the floors of the studio because he's bringing the brooms. He's bringing the brooms because in Cleveland, it's a mess.
It is indeed that, Stephen A. You know, we talked last night following the Oklahoma City win about the play of Jared McCain, and you mentioned Landry Shamet. He was that tonight for a Knicks team. How would you characterize the overall depth of this Knicks squad?
Well, you know what? You didn't realize how good it was. You had expectations at the beginning of the season, and then obviously Mike Brown wasn't utilizing his bench to the manner that you thought that he would. And then you had some question marks about them, and then you saw Mikal Bridges nosedive. You had some serious questions about him, but give credit where credit is due. If I was loud and making noise when Mikal Bridges was struggling, I'm damn sure going to be just as loud in praising him. He was fantastic in this game, hitting all but 3 of his shots, giving you over 20, giving you stout defense along the way, letting you know you couldn't leave him open. And then Landry Shamet has been a godsend. He has come off the bench and has just been drilling shots from long range all over the place. That has opened things up for a guy like Jalen Brunson to operate. It's opened things up for Karl Anthony Towns to be the facilitator that he is. And because it's pulling people away from the basket, it's even given the likes of Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby room to operate on the interior, which again can serve to demoralize the Cleveland Cavaliers as it has shown. But you still don't expect a team trying to get to the NBA Finals to look so lethargic defensively. No energy whatsoever. Change has got to be coming in Cleveland. I'd be shocked if there were a Game 5 at this point. They look like they've already made their reservations for off-season vacation. They just look that way. You can see it.
When we talk about the Knicks, though, and the way that they are winning these games, the variety of players who are contributing night in and night out, the variety of ways in which we see them get the dub, 10 straight wins for this Knicks team. Yeah. I mean, just talk about the impressive nature of that stretch.